based on the webtoon of the same name. The God of High School boasts a distinctive visual language that makes it one of 2020's most compelling new anime series following Tower of God. But is it really worth the hype that everyone is going crazy about? This is a review plus, which means the video will be covering a more in-depth into the series, revealing minor spoilers from the first half and major spoilers from the second half through the video. So for those who haven't watched it, I will give you the heads up when you should click away from the video. Okay, here we go. God of High School takes place and involves 3 different realms. The human realm, obviously populated by humans, which is the least powerful realm, followed by the Sage realm, and then the Heaven realm as the superior. The Sage realm, also known as the Demon realm, is populated by various mythical creatures, spirits, and monsters. The Heaven realm is the most powerful and is home to many powerful gods of various mythologies and legends like Hercules. At the dawn of time, humans, demons, and gods lived together on Earth. The gods allowed the weak humans to borrow their powers, creating the borrowed power system, so they could defend themselves from the demons who wanted to rule over them. Shortly after the demon defeat, the gods split up the humans, demons, and gods among the 3 realms. Humans are since able to use the borrowed power freely, but cannot attack the gods with it. My first impressions was really good and intriguing from the start. The series didn't dive into the mystery just yet, but gets introduced by various characters instead. We first get a happy and energetic high school teenager who wakes up late and races to his destination on a bike that careens through the streets of Seoul, then runs into a thief who has stolen a grandma's purse, and the good-hearted hero has to stop and save the day. The animated chase sequence shows us everything we need to know about our protagonist being a heart of gold, and his fast friendship with our 2 other leads, the strong man Daewi Han and the cute high school girl Mira Yo, who wields a wooden sword, team up with him to stop the thief. We get a great taste of action animation that God of High School has in store for us. The action is fluid and clean, and the creative anime style provided by MAPPA, the animation studio behind hits like Yuri on Ice, I could tell the studio had put a lot of effort on the animation aspect in the beginning of the show, and this is where both of the animation and pacing of the story has its hit and miss. There are so many cast of characters in Go that it can be a little overwhelming, so here are 4 characters you should really focus on. Jin Mori, the main protagonist. Jin is shown to be playful, honest, and a light-hearted young man that primarily seeks nothing more than a good fight. He is fairly kind and hospitable to strangers and develops a strong bond of loyalty with his friends. Practices functional versions of the Korean martial arts called Renewal Taekwondo, which he learnt from his grandfather. The characterization is very similar to Goku, and he also looks a little like him, which was a result of the creator being a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z. Daewi Han. Lazy looking with loner personality, but very calm and laid back, and also loyal to his friends to go to great lengths to protect them. He's been working part-time jobs to pay the medical bills for his best friend, who fell ill with an incurable disease. But the part-time work available to high schoolers is barely enough to cover the daily medical bills and won't cover a cure. He joins Go for being told that he can save his friend if he wins. Mira Yo. She pretends to be a fragile high schooler, but she has been training since she was a child and has been a skilled sword specialist. She prefers guys who are tough and strong. This is because she's been told that she needs to marry a strong man enough to help her resurrect her family's sword style. For that reason, she's participating in Go. She initially has a mixed personality, but soon changed after meeting Jin Mori. She's caring and loyal to her friends, highly defensive but polite all the same. Ippo Park. Ippo has a very laid-back and fun-loving personality. An example of this is when he meets Jigul Tak, who tries to punch him, but he easily dodged it and started playing rock, paper, scissors. However, despite acting silly and carefree, this example also shows that he is quite alert of his surroundings. His more serious and cold personality starts to appear, particularly when others harms those he cares about. The issue I had with the story was that I felt it was slotted in too late. Being a 13-episode series, I would have thought they would pay more attention to the main story from the very beginning. Instead, they focused on the character development for the first half by giving us the backstories and reasons why Jin, Yo, and Daewi wanted to fight and claim the prize of the tournament. While that isn't such a bad thing, it made this story feel like an afterthought because everything just seemed to escalate once you hit the halfway mark. It kind of gave me a sense that they were making the show and completely forgot that there was an actual plot, so they rushed to fit it in before the series came to an end. The artwork of God of High School was a pretty standard affair. They used a lot of flat colours mixed with CG to bring the show to life, and while that sounds like it would be an out of balance experience, it actually was the opposite. I think the CG and traditional animation fit in well and nothing really fell out of place with the exception of one thing. I did not care for the red blush marks on everyone's noses and ears. But it wasn't that distraction in my opinion, but still, the show could have done just as well without that little touch. The animation on the other hand was pretty darn good. Sure, it wasn't movie quality 60 frames per second animation, but every fight throughout the whole series was choreographed and animated beautifully. It did an incredible job pulling you into the action and hooking you. The fights weren't all that short either. Sure, there have been some highlight fights for some of the supporting or background characters, but when it came time for the main cast to step into the ring, a lot of effort went into their battles and it paid off. Before I dive into the fighting narratives, I think we should take a little more time and differentiate mechanics between fight scenes and action scenes. Fight scenes generally take place between two established characters. Both tend to have a clear and defined motive for being there, and both usually have a clear consequence for if they win or if they lose. Action scenes, on the other hand, tend to take place between a large group of people, usually with our protagonist facing down a large crowd of faceless enemies. Action scenes are all about spectacle. They're about trying to fit as much excitement into a scene as they possibly can, and their success relies nearly entirely on direction, choreography, shot layout, and a tight edit. And the point where a fight scene truly becomes engaging is the point where the audience can follow the physical communication playing out on screen. A good example of technical narrative is the fight scene between Jin and Ippo. The fight starts off with Jin having a good feeling about the fight, and Ippo telling him his fighting style is inferior to him. Jin starts off with his barrage of taekwondo kicks, and Ippo starts calculating and analysing his movements, blocking and dodging every single attack, eventually counter-attacking him with a quick low kick. Jin then tries again with his barrage of attacks, then gets blocked and locked by Ippo, then counter-attacks again. After taking a beating, Jin is forced to reconsider his strategy and instead he tries to use a special technique. But it seems as though Ippo could see his movements clearly before it actually happens, and then counters again. Ippo tells Jin that he's inferior to him, which tells us, the viewers, that Ippo is a logical fighter and seems as though he knows the various weaknesses Renewal Taekwondo has in its pure and classic form. No matter how hard Jin tries, he couldn't land a hit. He thinks hard and eventually imitates Yo's moonlight sword style, leaving Ippo in shock. Conquering his first weakness in close combat, he then imitates Daewi's special move, the Black Tortoise, overcoming his second weakness, having prep being too obvious. It's a brutally simple exchange between two characters, but one conveyed to the audience that the utmost clarity. In other words, there is a simple physical story that runs through this fight, in which turns that Ippo was coaching Jin all along, and since Ippo is a supporting character, he fits well into the story's narrative, development and growth of the main character. It's what gives the audience a story to follow, and a strong technical narrative is more than enough to keep a combat encounter compelling and interesting. A well-established emotional narrative to a fight can override the need for a technical one. One of my other favourite fight scenes was between Jin and Daewi. The fight scene between Jin and Daewi and their drive and motives is one that is compelling. Jin is fighting for revenge for Daewi ruthlessly taking down Yo during the tournament knowing her previous injury, whereas Daewi is doing everything he can to win the tournament to cure his best friend. The technical fight scenes played out between the two martial art forms, karate and taekwondo, is distinctive, but the emotion behind it is so raw and well expressed through the animation that it ends up being a far more memorable, compelling encounter than most battles from actual battle anime. When watching the scene, I can't help how emotional the scene got after Daewi knocked Jin down and hearing the news from Park Marbong that his friend passed away, leaving Daewi losing the will to fight. It shows this character at his lowest point. We then have Yo shout at him, passing him a written letter from his dying friend, advising Daewi to fight for his own sake. His mood changes, then both Jin and Daewi resume to fight, but this time honourably and respectively. Over the course of 13 episodes, the audience have gotten the chance to watch each character grow and the Chariot in the embodiment of that. We've watched Miro choose to be one who revives the moonlight sword techniques and who embodies the ferocious warrior god. For Daewi, we have the young man who has the power brutally wound develop a Chariot base that manifests as healing waters. And for our main hero, Mori, while we haven't seen large amounts of growth into the new character, we've seen him learn about his hidden power in a way that brings together all the elements of his personality. Although we see Jin that he actually unlocks the power within as the Monkey King in the finale episode, it's exciting as it has to be, since all showdowns has to be an epic and memorable one to close off this story arc. While the season has not been perfect, The God of High Score has been entertaining, and it's the first time I've watched a series that has been one thing and finished as another, with no reservations where the journey has taken us. Through stunning animations from MAPPA and characters that do more than embody shonen tropes, the anime series is sure to turn into a favourite of the year for many fans, and The God of High Score episode 13 is a finale that leaves you wanting and hoping for season 2. Even if the story felt a little rushed, it added that something extra that was sorely needed from causing the show to be dubbed the fighting anime. As I said before, I felt the story could have been truly epic had it been introduced a lot earlier and given more time and attention to develop. The characters were well developed and I did enjoy each of them. The fights will probably be what the show is remembered for. All in all, the show was pretty good, from top to bottom. Was it worth all the hype? Probably yes. Was it overhyped? Well, definitely yes.